I've always believed that silence has a weight. Right now, in my glass-walled office, perched on the 32nd floor, it feels like silence is pressing down on my chest. My assistant just left a fresh latte on the desk, the steam curling like whispers I'd rather not hear. I adjust the sleeve of my silk blouse, smooth down a crease, and glance at the city below. Tiny cars inching through traffic, people hurrying to lives that have nothing to do with mine. My phone buzzes against the marble tabletop. The name on the screen makes my stomach tighten. Mom. I haven't spoken to her in months, maybe longer. Not really. Surface level texts, holiday pleasantries. Yes. Real conversations. Number. And yet, here she is, breaking the silence like she always does, without warning, without apology. I let it ring out, but a second later, a message lights up. Your sister is struggling. We need you. Call me back. I stare at those words until they blur. My hand drifts unconsciously to my left hand, to the place where an engagement ring once sat. The finger is bare now, but I can still feel its phantom weight, as if the memory is carved into my skin. I lean back, the leather chair creaking softly, and exhale. They want me again. The same family who once looked me in the eye and told me that my dreams didn't matter, that I was selfish, that my sister's happiness was worth more than mine. I sip the coffee, bitter and hot, and whisper to myself, do they even remember what they did? Because I do. Every detail, every word, every betrayal. It was 5 years ago. Back then, I was 25, freshly engaged, glowing in the kind of love that makes you believe in forever. My fiancé had chosen the most beautiful ring, simple, elegant, a solitaire diamond that sparkled with promise. I used to catch myself staring at it in the mirror, twisting my hand just to watch the light dance. It wasn't about the diamond. It was about what it represented. Stability, love, a future that was mine. One evening, after work, I came home humming, bags of groceries in my arms, ready to cook dinner for my fiancé. But the first thing I noticed when I set the bags down was the jewelry box on my dresser. Empty. My heart skipped. I tore through drawers, checked the bathroom, even the laundry basket. Nothing. The ring was gone. Confusion turned into panic. I called my mom. Mom, did you come by my apartment? My ring is missing. There was a pause. A long, heavy pause that told me everything before she even spoke. I took it, she said finally. Her voice was calm, almost casual. What? What do you mean you took it? Why? For your sister, she replied, as if it were the most reasonable explanation in the world. She needed money for her vacation. She's been working so hard and she deserves a break. You can always get another ring. The phone trembled in my hand. That was my engagement ring, Mom. How could you take something so personal, so important? You'll understand one day, she said. Family comes first. Your sister needed this more than you did. I remember standing there, numb, staring at the empty box. The walls seemed to close in on me. My fiancé came home later and tried to hide his hurt, but the damage was done. Within weeks, our engagement unraveled under the weight of betrayal, his trust shaken, my heart shattered. That night, I pulled out an old leather journal, one that my grandmother had given me before she passed. On the inside cover, she had written, "Never let anyone pawn your worth. You are priceless." Those words seared into me, and in the silence of my apartment, with tears blurring the ink, I made a decision. If my own family couldn't see my value, then I would build a life where they'd have no choice but to. Walking away was the hardest thing I'd ever done. I packed my bags, moved into a studio barely bigger than a closet, and started over. I took on extra shifts at work, lived off instant noodles, and spent nights curled under a blanket of self-doubt. But every time I wanted to give up, I'd run my fingers over my grandmother's handwriting in that journal. "You are priceless." At first, success was microscopic. A freelance project here, a late-night tutoring gig there. Then, slowly, momentum built. I networked, I studied, I learned everything I could about digital marketing and branding. I met a mentor, Sandra. She was a powerhouse in the industry, sharp as glass but with a warmth that reminded me of the mother I wished I had. She didn't just teach me strategy, she taught me resilience. "The world will underestimate you," she once told me over coffee. "But that's your weapon. Let them. Then show them who you are." And I did. I landed my first big client after pulling 3 all-nighters in a row, designing a campaign that went viral. That paycheck was enough to move into a one-bedroom apartment. My second client led to a referral, and then another. Soon, I was running my own small agency out of a shared office space. There were setbacks, of course. Projects that flopped. Investors who dismissed me. Nights where I cried until dawn. But through it all, I kept posting modest updates online. Excited about a new project? Or grateful for small wins? Never the full picture. I didn't want my family to know. Not yet. Within 4 years, I had scaled to a full-fledged company with international clients. My name was on the door. My signature was on the contracts. And my bank account, well, let's just say I could buy back that engagement ring 10 times over if I wanted. But I didn't. Because the point wasn't the ring anymore. It was the woman I became without it. And now, here we are. Present day. The knock on my office door pulls me from my thoughts. My assistant pokes her head in. "Your family is here." I inhale deeply. "Send them in." The door swings open, and in walk my mother and sister. My sister looks tired, makeup smudged, designer purse dangling from her arm. My mother, still carrying herself with the same self-righteous air, scans the room with curious eyes. "This is your office?" she says, her voice tinged with disbelief. I smile politely. "Yes. Welcome." They take it all in. The floor-to-ceiling windows, the polished oak desk, the art on the walls. My sister lingers near a framed photo of me shaking hands with a global CEO. "You've done well for yourself," my mother admits. Her tone caught somewhere between pride and surprise. I fold my hands on the desk. "I have." There's a heavy pause. Then my sister blurts out, "I need your help. I'm in debt. Things haven't been easy. Mom said you could—" I raise a hand gently. "Before we talk about that, there's something I need to ask. Do you remember my engagement ring?" My mother's eyes flicker, just for a moment. "That was years ago," she says dismissively. "Not to me. That ring symbolized the life I was supposed to have. And when you pawned it, you didn't just take jewelry. You took my future, my trust, my belief that I mattered as much as she did." My sister looks down, ashamed. My mother shifts uncomfortably. I lean forward, my voice calm but firm. "You thought I was weak. You thought I'd crumble. But look around. I built this empire from the ashes of what you took." Their silence is answer enough. My sister finally whispers, "So, will you help me?" I study her for a long moment. Once upon a time, I would have said yes instantly, desperate for approval. Not anymore. "I'll help," I say carefully, "but on conditions." Her eyes widen. "Anything." "First," I say, turning to my mother, "you stop playing favorites. No more sacrifices at my expense for her comfort. Respect me as the woman I am, not as the girl you could manipulate." My mother swallows hard but nods. "Second," I tell my sister, "you get a job, a real one. No more vacations funded by someone else's sweat. You stand on your own feet." Tears pool in her eyes, but she nods too. And third, I add softly, you both acknowledge that what you did was wrong, that I deserved better. The silence stretches. My mother's lips tremble before she finally whispers, we were wrong. I was wrong. The words land like balm on a wound I'd carried for years. I exhale, finally releasing a breath I didn't know I was holding. Then yes, I'll help you. But understand this, I'll never let anyone pawn my worth again. Weeks later, I see the changes beginning. My sister calls me after her first week at a new job, exhaustion and pride mingling in her voice. My mother has started therapy, something I never thought I'd hear her admit she needed. And me? I feel lighter. One evening, I sit by my window with a glass of wine, journal in hand. I flip to the inside cover, tracing my grandmother's handwriting. You are priceless. I smile because she was right. They may have pawned my engagement ring, but they could never pawn my worth. And that is the story I will carry with me forever.